everyone, it's me, your resident PvPetter and mentor, Mossy. With Dawn Trail coming out, I have been spammed over and over and over and over and over again to make the guides for Viper and Pictomancer. And I get it, this job is hella confusing at first, and that is why I am here with this guide. Now, I'm not here to explain every single action. I'm going to assume you have read the buttons and have tried it out. I'm here as a mentor to improve on the foundation you have already and hopefully elevate your skills as a Viper player. In this video, we'll be going over the pros and cons of the job, recommended action combos, playstyles, and job synergies. All points will be timestamped, so if you are advanced enough, you can skip to the sections that you want to hear the most. And you know what? As a bonus, I'll sprinkle in some pro tips every now and then. Okay, let's get into the pros and cons to see if Viper is even the right job for you in the first place. There's a lot of these. I won't go into direct details right now, and I will be explaining them throughout the video. Anyways, pros. Viper has high AoE damage in ult, good range poke, highly mobile, can reset actions with assists and KOs, can reduce LB timers with actions, and has high actions per minute, resulting in good OGCD damage. However, as many pros, it has in equal as many cons. These are can get hard crowd controlled out of its mitigations, very glass cannony, position dependent mobility, GCD heavy big damage, and this big damage has high animation delay before said damage hits, as well as mentioned in the pros, high actions per minute, but that also results in having a hard time to weave in heals or other types of guard and purify. Now, going over each point will be a video in its own entirety. So if you want me to go through all that suffering, if you want me to go through all of that content, sure you'll like and sound off in the comments about how Viper has been for you. Now that we know the pros and cons about the job, time to move on to how we can improve your damage and survivability as Viper. And to the simplest room of improvement, let's do the action and combos. I'll put all the combos, rotations, and bursts on the top of the screen, and throughout that section, I will be explaining why you should do it in that order to save time. In my opinion, the most important tool in Viper's kit isn't actually DPS, but your movement action slither. On top of allowing you to relocate swiftly, it provides a damage amp of 25% to any of your weapon skills. The best way to set up poke damage safely is actually to dash to a party member and use the following range combo to do 18k from range or 36k if you use rattling close to reset. And with the Hunter's buff, this goes to almost 20k and 40k for single targets. As for the AoE numbers, you're looking at roughly 13 to 26k and 14.3 to 28.6 respectively in a circle from the selected target. I want to say 90% of the time, dual fang combo is kinda useless and is only good for extending your buffs if you have exhausted all other options. This is because Hunter Snap and Swift Skin Coil actions A, do more burst damage than dual fang combo, and B, it provides the buffs as well as the OGCD attacks of Serpent's Tail more immediately, meaning you'll get faster LB generation since all of the Serpent's Tail OGCDs are available after each Hunter's or Swift Skin, resulting in the more optimized combo of 1 GCD than OGCD versus the primary of 3 GCDs 1 OGCD. Now, before most engages, you want to do your range poke first, as mentioned previously, as it is free damage that you can do safely, and after, you can then loop slither, Hunter Snap, and Serpent's Tail rotations as many times as you can do safely. Just try your best to save one slither for exit or escape. Alright, let's talk about the elephant in the room for combos, and that is snake scales. I'll show you the optimized burst combo, so just so you can get it in your head. However, I will note that snake scales for damage isn't suggested as it's very high risk with very low reward. Pro tip I will say is to use it roughly when you are around 75 to 80% HP, so you don't overcap on HP when you heal with backlash, as well as you can double loop it with rattling coils to stall points or hold an area until your team shows up. If you want a pro tip number 2 to maximize its damage again, use snake scales when you expect the burst from an enemy, so when they approach you can survive the damage and heal back. Example of this is in frontlines. If you're expecting a Dark Knight enemy team to burst you, pop it ahead of time so that you can heal during the burst happens. Just remember to guard out or else you will still die because it's still a lot of damage and you're not as tanky as you think you are, and the heals are kind of like point winkles, bro. So yeah, for your LB, even though it's super cool to spam your generations and legacies over and over again before finishing with Ouroboros, the damage sucks sucks when it comes to high burst, realistically speaking, because it happens over a long period of time. And to improve your damage potential, realistically, you only have time for one generation or one legacy before Ouroboros-ing. But if you're really pressed for damage, you might even have time to do that, and you might only have time to just dive in, LB, then Ouroboros out. Now, pro tip, you want to save your ranged attacks of Uncoiled until after you LB, as your LB debuffs your enemy, increasing their damage taken from your attack specifically. So save your Uncoiled spam for when you sliver out, and then use the range poke mentioned before. And if you're crazy, you can just do it in the enemy team. That's up to you, man. It's your game. I don't make the rules, bro. I should mention, a lot of the combos, I never really said to use hunters that much before you're uncoiled. The reason being is because it kind of defeats the purpose of it being a ranged attack. The only time you should be able to safely buff yourself with hunters for that 10% damage bonus is if a solo enemy is aggroing your team, or if the enemies aren't targeting you, or if you already have the buff up. Yeah, that's about it for the combos, I think. Be honest, most of the time you will end up having to play hit and run / dive bomb tactics, where you use your slither as entry, bursting, then slithering out just like a snake. It's all about quick stripes, you know? Viper is very combo happy, so there are times where you can extend your rotation or shorten it, and what will dictate the length of damage you do is more so how long it will take the enemy to target you and burst you down. Snake scales and pausing to target a party member to slither out might help in a pinch, but don't always rely on it, as it may block normal crowd controls, draw-ins, and pushes, but not hard CCs, which can take you out of scale stance and leave you like a sitting duck. Literally, more often than not, your playstyle will resign you to poking at range with range combos, and then only choosing to burst squishies when it is safe. Your ideal condition is primarily when you are not the tab target in the enemy team, by either following up behind a Dark Knight, Samurai, or anything really in front of you, allowing you to free melee spam damage. Even still, you can range spam more safely than Samurai or Monk from AoEs, as Rattling Coil's 10-second cooldown reduction may even allow you to triple or quadra on Full Fury poke in front lines, as long as you get your assists or KOs up from your team bursting. I do find it odd that on a basics level, the kit looks like it's made to stay in the fight all the time with all of its combo actions, but there's no really any sustained mitigations like a damage reduction action like G10 or Horde Roar on Sam and Dragoon, and it actually benefits way more just to lay low and wait for the perfect opportunity to play more like an ambush hunter than a brawler. And I do want to mention, you are still free to fight inside the enemy team, just don't get too hungry in your OGCD follow-ups with Serpentale, as the low GCD cooldown of like 1.9 seconds makes it really easy to forget that enemies are still hitting you and your HP is a resource, so you should probably end up opting recoup or potting or purifying or guarding, because you'll probably end up dead before you know it. For those on PC, I suggest using mouse over macros for your Uncoiled Fury and Serpentale for easier range poke, and mouse over for both your LB and slithers for faster engages and disengages. Both PC and console can utilize the focus macro of slithers to help for a faster rally point to a safe teammate. Alright, job synergies. This includes what Viper plays with and not, as well as what is good to play into and bad to go into. Viper is highly mobile, as it has high damage more available on cooldown and can hit through guard. This allows it to easily chase after more elusive ranged jobs like Dancer and Black Mage with their multiple movement tools. While having a 16k burst, it can chase kill pretty well. However, what it fails at being is being able to survive if it's lured in a bad position, as if it runs out of slivers, its snake skills will be useless against LBs like Dancer, Reaper, Monk, and even Polymorph can hard CC it out of snake skills. So TLDR, don't overcommit to a chase if it puts you in a bad position, and I'll repeat it again, try to save one slivers for exit. I should mention that it plays horrible into Sam LB with its own LB, as all of Viper LBs are AoE, meaning that it's very easy to proc Cheesehead and then die to Samurai Zantan, as well as Ninja LBs can still kill you in scale scales if the health conditions are met. Jobs like Monk and Warrior that are able to kidnap you still are able to do that, but not to the same extent because you do have your dashes. And Warrior Guard Break LB still allows you to use scales, so you'll still have a mini guard in that sense too. It works synergistically with Dark Pulse. I mean, a lot of jobs do that, but I found that it actually does decent as an off DPS or support role, as its LB functions similar to G&B, except its crowd control is in the beginning of the LB instead of the end of the LB, allowing you to set up for ults like Dragoon, Summoner, White Mage, and Red Mage, just to name a few. It can also set up for Dark Pulse, as it will force a Purify, allowing them to be binded by Salt and Darkness. Also, if you focus on LB generation, you can save between 12 seconds minimum to like a max almost 30 seconds of your LB timer, which can line up with almost every other Dark Engage. And yeah, that's basically everything. Alright, I'll be making an advanced guide maybe in the future if this goes well, as this is just skimming the surface of what Viper more or less is and what you should normally expect when you first pick up the job. If you do like these type of content and videos, please don't forget to like and subscribe and all that fancy stuff. Also, shout out to my models that help me with the recording and b-roll, as well as Homie Taro for the CC gaming footage. Oh god, I just realized that after sweating on this, I have to do the Picto guide next. My